You're listening to Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.
All right, welcome back everybody to the Wyatt Law Studios. We're here with Levon Kirkland on the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland. Here we're all about leadership at the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame. We're about making a positive impact on our youth and our communities, and we appreciate you tuning in. Levon, how's it going today?
It is going well, my friend. How's it going with you?
It's awesome. It's awesome. Very much been enjoying being a part of this podcast, getting a little bit of an inside look on not just football, but so many great people.
Well, when we think about this podcast, we're thinking about getting the inside stories that we wouldn't normally hear from different podcasts or different shows, and that's fine with us. We love hearing about people, where they come from, where they're going, and some of the amazing things they've done during their lives. And this is why I love this show. This is why I think that the audience love this show. We're getting a lot of great views right now, and it's going to get better and better as we go along. I mean, it's been terrific so far, and I can't wait for the future and what we're going to do, not only for football, but for lives. How are we going to change lives? How are we going to make it better?
Well, that's awesome, and I appreciate everybody. There's been a lot of people that have joined and become members, and remind everybody what the membership's about and why they should do that.
Sure, no problem about that. Our memberships and the money that we get is only $9.95. As we said before, you spend that in the first of your morning before you go to work. You spend that at McDonald's, at Starbucks. But when you give to us, what's going to happen is you're going to change other people's lives. We have what we call a Bridge Builder program. We have the Workforce Development and the Business Connect. Those programs are vehicles for our young people to get character, academics, and also careers. So in that way, that little bit of amount, you never know how much it really changes lives. And so we're so happy to be a part of that. And we're happy to have the guests that we're having. And I know I enjoy this guest tremendously. And Mike, can you tell us a little bit more about him?
Well, Coach Sam Wyche is awesome. We love him. He's a class of 2013 inductee of ours, inaugural class. Like you, has played and coached at every level.
Yeah,
and now he was a head coach at the NFL level. And the insights that we were able to get in this interview is amazing. You have to listen to some of the things that he talked about. Some of the biggest plays in NFL history that he's been a part of. For example, a Super Bowl run back and the catch. If you've ever heard of the catch, the insights of what went into that play would shock you. And would change your whole perspective on what you knew of the catch ahead of time. Plus, there's a ton of South Carolina connections between these stories, which is also super amazing. And so I'm really excited about this interview with Coach Sam, and to have him in studio was amazing. The interaction between you two, between Sam and yourself, was remarkable, and I think everybody's going to enjoy what we have coming up.
Absolutely, Mike Foster, you're so right. Sam Wyche in studio, the first in-studio guest that we've had on the show. I can't wait to have him in, so thank you for being a part of this show. Thank you for tuning in today and the past, and of course, we appreciate you becoming a member. And all of those that have become a member, we do appreciate it. And those that haven't, thank you for considering that. And we'll be right back with the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland and Coach Sam Wyche in studio. Thank you very much.
This is Sam Wyche, and you're listening to the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.
Today, my special guest, my idol, coaching idol, Coach Sam Wyche. How you doing today, sir?
I'm fine, but you can't exaggerate like that.
No, I'm not exaggerating, because when you were coaching at Pickens, I was coaching at, I think it was Wade Hampton, and I saw you. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, we're in this high school field. We've both been in NFL. We're in this high school field. I'm like, oh my God, Coach Sam is here. I'm wondering how much I can really learn from Coach Wyche. And so it was a thrill for me to see you there.
Well, you know what? That reminds me of the first time my wife saw me.
Really?
Yeah, she felt the same way. So. Couldn't believe it. How good.
Yeah. I mean, you're 6'4". I mean, ruggedly handsome man, and I was just kind of, oh, coach, and I could see why your wife might have thought the same thing.
Well, you're full of it. You know what I'm talking about.
I can be a little bit. I just wanted to ask you a few questions. Here in the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, we are making a difference through football. Could you explain to our audience what football means to you and how you think football makes a difference?
Well, I was one of those kids that grew up. My younger brother was the better athlete by far. Mm-hmm. He was a full scholarship at the University of Tennessee, and I was a walk-on, did not get a scholarship offer at Furman University. And so, number one, it meant education to me.
Right.
If without that football, the scholarship that I ultimately got, a 3-year deal. Mm-hmm. By the way, in 1962, it only cost $1,200 to go to Furman. So it's gone up a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. But football was going to be my ticket to opening every door that I would have opened up in business or sports or whatever it happened to be. And it turned out that I just met the right people at the right time. And I wouldn't have met them if I hadn't been in that locker room.
Right. Now, did you meet your wife at Furman, or you met her earlier?
She was in the locker room as well, and shouldn't have been there actually at the time. But
what was she doing in the locker room?
Well, she was a sweetheart, and no, I don't know. I met my wife because she was the sweetheart of Kappa Alpha fraternity.
Okay.
And I pledged KA, and you had to take the sweetheart to dinner, which meant you met her in the dining hall with about 6 or 7 other pledges. And for some reason, I took the Jell-O that was on the entree that night, and I pushed it right in her face.
No way you didn't.
I did that, and why I did it, to this day, I don't remember why. I'm sure there was some reason for it, a legitimate reason, but she liked it, I guess. I don't know. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Now, I met your wife yesterday. I just don't think she seems like the type that would take that from you.
Well, she's taken it for 53 years, 11 months, and 4 days. So almost 54
That's
years.
pretty good right there.
Congratulations
we are going to get an award for Jane soon.
You know why we did it? Was football, because I was at training camp 2 months out of in those days.
Right.
You went in, you were there for 8 weeks, and you weren't around your family. So you weren't pestering her, and she wasn't bothering me. So that was the reason we lasted.
Secret to longevity.
Absolutely.
Is that the secret to longevity?
That's what he's saying.
As a married couple, well, especially being an NFL coach, I mean that's difficult because a lot of times you're spending more time with your team than you're spending with your family.
Absolutely true, and you've got obligations beyond the football team and the game plan and all those kind of things. You got to be at banquets. You got to not recruit, but you've got to scout real well because of free agency when it kicked in, and they're changing. They had old Plan B, and then they had free agency with no cap, and then they had free. So it's a lot of different studying to make sure that your strategy was correct and that you were able to hold on to players.
And then at that time, you guys had to really break down films. I've been in coaching with the Cardinals, and if you need some information, bam, you got it like that because of all the technology. Can you explain to us how that was? I mean, just breaking down film at that time.
In the old days, you had the old 16 millimeter Kodak. Was it Kodak or something? Camera with a tape.
Yeah, we just go Kodak.
And you would have to cut the tape and pin it on the wall, and then you had to come back and splice it together and show it. It's black and white. I remember the first time I saw color film. I'm a player with the Cincinnati Bengals, and I had our name on every. Paul Brown always put the name on so he knew where you were and when you weren't there. But I'm sitting right by the projector, and for some reason, PB was a little bit late getting to that meeting, which is unusual. But I reached over and I flipped it. I said, let's just take a look while we're waiting on Paul to come, Coach Brown to get in. And the film came on, and it was in color. First time we'd ever seen color video of the game. Right. And then round the bend comes Paul Brown with the film going on, and me sitting beside the camera with my hand really in the cookie jar.
Right. And got caught.
I absolutely got caught. I mean, I felt like crawling under the desk. He did not like it. He was upset about it, but he held his temper. And and we went on with it. But I remember those days translated into what you're talking about now, where it's all on a computer. You can go home and watch it. You know, Boomer used to give Boomer Esiason, quarterback in Cincinnati, 1 year gave every offensive lineman a fax machine. That's how old all of us are. And we would fax the game plan to ball players so that they get an early start on the next morning's workout.
Well, Coach, what really got you into coaching in the first place? You did it on all 3 levels, but I want to know that first time you caught the bug to even coach guys.
You know, I don't know whether I caught the bug or the bug crawled up my leg. I don't know. But it really actually started. I moved around a lot of different teams. I was playing for the St. Louis Cardinals. We were in a preseason game in Tokyo, Japan, playing the San Diego Chargers. And Bill Walsh, who had been my quarterback coach when I played for the Bengals, was now an assistant coach with San Diego. And we happened to come down the elevator in the new Otani Hotel, right off from the Ginza there, the shopping mecca of Tokyo. Right. And he said, let's go down and have a cup of tea. Okay. Well, a cup of tea. Like I do that all the time. And so we did. We were very close. We were only about 5 years apart in age because I played a year of minor league ball, went back, got my MBA degree before I actually got into pros. And so anyway, we're sitting there talking. After about 45 minutes, we were like brothers. I'm serious. I started to smile. He started to smile back at me because he knew that I'd figured out that. And I said, we're not having a cup of tea, Bill. Right. You're interviewing me for a job. And he said, Sam, that's a little bit of truth in both of those things, but if I ever get a head job, I want you to come coach the passing game. Well, years later, he got the head job with the San Francisco 49ers. And the day that I got 2 rejection letters, I'd applied for 2 high school jobs in North Carolina. What? And I got rejected because I had no coaching experience. I played ball, but I never coached. But that day, within an hour after reading those letters and saying, okay, I'm going back to the salt mines here with Sam Wyche Sports World, I'd started a sporting goods business with my college roommate with the seed money from Super Bowl VII. And with the Washington Redskins against the Miami Dolphins, perfect record.
1972.
72, and since they had a perfect record, you know how well we did in that game. I can tell you another story about that in just a second if you want it. But anyway, within an hour, literally, of reading those letters and starting to get back to the grind of the sporting goods business, I got a phone call from Bill Walsh. Says, I'm going to be the new head coach of the 49ers. I'm going to have a press conference tomorrow. Day after tomorrow, I want you to be out here and let's talk about you being the, quote, director of the passing game.
Director of the passing game.
Yeah, he didn't want an offensive coordinator. He was going to be the head coach, general manager, and offensive coordinator. But I was on the headset with Bill and had a blast. You know, you couldn't learn from a better guy.
Oh, no question about it. I actually read his book, and it was amazing of all the knowledge that he knew and how he was an innovator. He was way before his time. But you're kind of way before your time, too, because you kind of... Now, was it you that developed the hurry up kind of offense?
Well, the no huddle, but the no huddle was really not initially a hurry up offense. It was the threat of a hurry up. You're at the line of scrimmage. You were in a legal formation. You had 7 men on the line of scrimmage. And the team is listening to the quarterback yell out, and you give up the privacy of the huddle. Let the defense listen in. But they're listening into words that don't make any sense to them. We don't know. Yeah. And actually, the start of the no huddle started years before when I was coaching the 49ers. We had a receiver named Skeets Nehemiah, Ronaldo Nehemiah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Hurdler, had 6 world records at one time in the sprints and the hurdles. He ran a go pattern one time, and he comes back and he's breathing. And I said, Skeets, what's the matter, dude? I thought you were some kind of world-class athlete here. Look at you breathing so heavy. He taught me a life lesson right then. He looked me square in the eye and he said, Coach, I'm breathing heavy because I just ran 60 yards as fast as I can run it. And then here's the lesson. He said, but if you'll give me just about 4 or 5 more seconds, I'll be breathing through my nose again. Meaning, I will have recovered from the previous play. And so the idea settled in my brain for the future that if I was ever in charge of the whole deal, that I was going to take away that recovery time that the other team is used to having and cut their time between plays short and run the no huddle. And that's that chronic fatigue will set in when literally in the first quarter, and you're playing now a tired defense as opposed to a ready defense.
And especially when defense is it's a lot of reaction, it's a lot of energy. So that was really, I imagine, a big plus. And I'm sure that the NFL and a lot of defensive coordinators didn't like you at the time.
I was on the agenda for 5 straight years where they had, ticket prices, travel plans, Sam Wyche, snow huddle, and then a year after we beat the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship to go to Super Bowl 23, Marv Levy invented the no huddle.
Right.
That was the year after that.
Yeah.
Strange how that chronologically doesn't work.
So he basically took your idea and kind of ran with it.
Well, he had another form of it. They only had Jim Kelly told me later, he said, we only had 10 plays that we had. You had the whole, we had the Cincinnati, the whole offense was on there.
Right. Well, can you give our audience a sense of Bill Wyche, just being in a coaching meeting with him? I've been in coaching meetings, and I was sitting in the corner not saying anything. But can you give us how that was being in there with Bill at the time?
Well, Bill was in charge of the meeting. He got up there. He's left-handed. He always, when he clapped, he would clap like this. He never clapped straight across. He's kind of a glancing blow. I mean, a little thing that has nothing to do with your answer, but
it's okay.
He was in charge of the meeting, and basically he told us what he wanted done, and let us come back with some response and maybe polish it a little bit. But during the season, it was me and Bill, and we would go through the rough draft, and then we bring that rough draft in with the rest of the offensive coaches, and we go over and polish it and have our game plan. And then it was my job on a typewriter in those days.
My goodness.
To go in and type out the sideline sheet.
Right.
So Bill would have it and I'd have it. And I do that on Sunday mornings, get there real early on Sunday mornings. If we were on the road, I'd go to the business office there in the hotel. And, sometimes it was a sprint to the finish line to get it ready.
And then you probably didn't have anybody like an assistant or anybody under you to really help you through all that.
No, it was it. Coaching staff was in one room. We had all the assistants in one room at Redwood City there in south of San Francisco. And then when we got to the on the road, when you got to the visiting city, you were basically in a strange place. You didn't know where everything was, and you were grabbing hold of everything you could.
Wow. So from that point on, you get your head coaching job. Your first 3 years are pretty decent, right?
Well, pretty decent.
Yeah.
Actually, I lost the first 5 games.
Okay, that's not decent.
That's not decent. That's indecent.
Yes.
My wife wouldn't speak to me.
Right.
But
was she booing you?
Oh yeah. Everybody booed me. I booed myself on several occasions. But I actually got a phone call from Joe Gibbs after the 5th loss. And he called me on a Monday morning and he said, "Sam, I just want to tell you something. When I took this job with the Washington Redskins, which was a few years before that, I lost my first 5 games.
Right.
And then we turned it around. We got it all going. Well, I appreciated that a lot, and I knew I was going to work hard anyway, but we won 8 of the next 11 games, go 8-8, and if the Raiders beat the Pittsburgh Steelers on the final Sunday of the season, we're going to go to the playoffs after an 0-5 start.
Wow. Yeah.
And they couldn't do it. The Raiders.
Don't you hate depending on another team?
I know it. We're sitting I'm sitting in my living room. TV cameras from all 3 of the affiliates are in there, getting reactions, and you can't really react the way you want to react when they don't make a first down the way you want it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now we go to, let's fast forward. You're in the Super Bowl. You're going against Bill at the time. Can you tell us how it was just seeing him across the way? What was that like?
Well, I'd played against him in the regular season a couple of times, so I'd been there before. But I knew how Bill operated. I was in the booth when I was with him in Cincinnati, in San Francisco. So he and I would talk about the next play. I'd give him my best run, best pass. And then he would pick the play. Sometimes he'd take my choices, sometimes he wouldn't. But that was what he was doing over there on the sideline. Right. But Bill was unforgiving, very precise about everything. as he should have been. And he was his last game. He'd already announced he was going to retire after that Super Bowl 23. So I imagine that locker room speech was pretty emotional. And the players came out, and I'm the last one introduced, and I'm looking back, and there's Joe Montana and Boomer and Randy Cross and all the guys who were back there that I coached when I was there. And so I get down to the three-point stance coming out of the chute.
Right,
And they're all laughing at me,
yes.
Sam, what are you? They call me Sam. They never call me Coach. And spread it on out there. And from that moment on, it was a little bit of deja vu, and that I could feel myself over there on that sideline of what I'd be doing and saying to him.
Right. Now, Stanford Jennings, he runs is it a kickoff? It's a kickoff, right?
Kickoff return.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a kickoff return. I mean, I'm watching that game as a kid, and I'm thinking like, oh, it's over. And I'm kind of happy because, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan at the time.
Yeah, well, that's disgusting enough right there.
Well, in South Carolina, they only show the NFC East and Dallas, and I picked Dallas. So, but anyway, you guys go ahead. As a coach, what are you thinking at that time?
Well, it was kind of a back and forth game.
Sure, it was
more of an defensive game than an offensive game. You had two powerhouse offenses.
Right.
I think we led the NFL. I know we led the AFC part of the NFL that year. But anyway, when we kicked, Stanford was our regular kickoff return guy, and we did a pretty good job with it but everything popped. Just, how those blocks, they got to time up just right because he's got to run through at the right second. And he hit that thing in stride, and he runs like this. His shoulders are bouncing up and down when he runs. He doesn't look like he's got a lot of speed, but he does. And Stanford, a Furman guy. I'm a Furman guy. I'm happy. But when he broke clear, there was one guy that had a chance to catch him, and that's what's going through my mind. Please don't catch him on the 9-yard line or something like that, where you have to score from. You don't get a first down to get in. And he made it all the way in there, and he actually got tripped up in the end zone. I don't know what went through my mind except that Stanford had his first child the night his wife had given birth the night before, and we gotten a video of her holding the baby after it was born in the team meeting the night before. So that's what I said to him was, is that for the new family that you've got? And everybody was jumping up and down. Nobody heard what anybody was saying or knew what they were saying either.
It's an exciting time. Yeah,
it was a great moment. Could have been the MVP of the game if we'd have won the game, but Joe Montana had a last say.
He's pretty good.
Heartbreaking.
He's okay. He's okay. But no, Coach, I want to kind of turn the tables a little bit. Just want to know, what are you passionate about right now?
Well, I am a heart transplant recipient, for one thing. So almost 3 years. And I'm just about a week away. September 13th, 2016, I got a new heart. My other one died of cardiomyopathy. And so I am very passionate about getting as many people to sign up as a donor.
Right.
And you can do it very easily. Just go to registerme.org and follow the instructions, or go to your Department of Motor Vehicles, your DMV office, and ask her to put a little heart on the your driver's license.
Right.
And in the event of your sudden death, the first responders will then get to the right people, and you can save one person passing who is a donor. Could save 7 or 8 lives, could save up to 75 people in terms of the impact of their life. Maybe like Carson Palmer, the NFL quarterback who's got a ligament in his knee, or he wouldn't be playing ball. Matt Millen is a recipient just a few months ago, the great linebacker from Penn State. But it is it's the greatest gift you can leave when you leave this planet, and that is to help other people behind you.
Yeah. I'm starstruck right now. I mean, I am. I know you say I'm full of it, but honestly,
I'm going to have to slap you around.
I tell you, I will tell a story. 3 years ago, I was talking to Sam, and he'd been in the Charlotte hospital and was very frank about what he was going through, wanting to get this heart donor, and he hadn't been able to get it. So we're on the phone, and Sam's done a lot for the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame for myself, and I'm tearing up, thinking this is the last time I'm going to get to talk to Coach. And I said, Coach, I love you, and I just, is there anything I can do for you? And without skipping a beat, he said, yeah, Wyatt, I need you to come over and help me clean out my garage.
Now, did he help you clean out the garage?
I don't think you showed up.
Well, about an hour or so later, I think you got the heart and you got the surgery, and here you are.
Well, they had told me that they had lined me up to go with hospice twice, and the last time was on a Monday. The Monday that the heart showed up after lunch. In fact, right before dinner, they had the surgery in the middle of the night. It finished the surgery in the middle of the night, but it was that close. The heartbeat. In fact, a doctor in training that observed that operation told me. I was going back for a regular checkup months later, and she came up to me and said, "I observed that operation. Let me tell you something. When they were waiting on the heart, the helipad was there, and the helicopter was ready to land on it. They were taking guesses at how many heartbeats I had left, because the left side of my heart had not beat for over an hour.
Wow.
And an LVAD pump was keeping me alive that way. And then the right side, they went around. The low bid was 3 beats left, and the high bid was between 10 and 12 beats.
Wow.
And they said, that's it. The heart we're going to be operating on a dead man after that. Remember, it's your brain. When your brain stops, you're dead, not your heart. And but anyway, she said, I watched when they took that old heart out and put it on the pan beside the bed. Right. It beat for over 5 minutes by itself outside your body.
Wow.
So every time I go back to the hospital and I see the doctors, I say, you guys are dumber than dirt, because you said I had 3 to 12 beats left. You could have gone back and got coffee and still got it in me all right. We had 5 full minutes left. But I was, God, blessed to be sitting here right now,
no question.
And blessed in so many other ways too. But the heart had to be the exact right size. Size of your fist is the size of your heart. Had it been where they needed to go into my leg and get an artery or a vein to make it fit, I wouldn't have made it. It was a perfect fit. The blood type was exactly mine, A positive, perfect.
Amazing.
Everything had to fall just right. And they just said, they even made the comment during the surgery that they were operating on a dead man. Said, we're crazy, his organs are all brown. But when they put that cardioversion paddle on me and it was clear, boom, and they popped me, they said the blood started pumping immediately on the first try, and everything that was brown started to pink up. And
isn't that crazy? Nice.
It was the last, I am so fortunate.
Yeah,
I got a couple of things, if you don't mind.
Oh, go ahead.
One is, we in this Hall of Fame, you're in our inaugural Football Hall of Fame class right here behind you. But we also have another Hall of Famer who also has a transplant. And did he come by and see you during that time?
And we're talking about
Jerry Richardson?
Jerry Richardson, absolutely, twice. Jerry had, actually, I was at the Carolina Medical Center, the Sanger Heart and Vascular Institute there. And Jerry Richardson recommended it. He somehow heard about my situation and said, I want you to come up here. This is where he had a heart transplant about 4 years, I think, before I did. And I was actually in his room.
Oh, my goodness.
So he pulled a couple of strings. Now, you can't pull strings to get the next available organ. That doesn't work. But you can make sure that you're ready in case your number comes up. And the way that works is, you may be in a pool of maybe 20 people, but that heart has to be the right size and the right blood type so that it's compatible with you. And if yours is the only one in that group, that heart's going to go to you first. And that was another miracle that happened for me. But Jerry came to see me the night of their first preseason game there in 2016. And he's sitting at the edge of he walked into the room, and he walks right by this big cushy chair where loved ones can sleep overnight. Says, move your feet over, and he sits down on the edge of the bed in his $3,500 suit. And he says, let me tell you, infection is your only enemy right now. You make sure that you wash your hands and you take care of that part of it. The doctors will take care of the rest of it. To them, this was the analogy. It's like changing a tire to them. God, I hope I got the right size tire. In there, but he came back the next night, and I knew he was coming that day sometime. And the next day, I didn't know he was coming. He came back again. Actually, got a little emotional the second time because he was reliving his experience. But what a great guy, and what a sincere, person that really took an interest in me, and I appreciate him very much.
I've got one more question. So we're going talking about the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame.
Right.
We have Dwight Clark, Freddie Solomon, and yourself all in this Hall of Fame. And can you tell us a play that y'all have in common?
We do. We have what is called in the San Francisco Bay Area the catch.
The catch.
And it was a pass from Joe Montana to Dwight Clark. Ultimately, or actually, the number one receiver was Freddie Solomon, right here in South Carolina. Right. And it was a sprint out, front out. Quarterback didn't reverse pivot. He just fronted out. He sprints to his right, and he's going to hit Freddie in the flat. Freddie's going to go up, chop, and then burst away, and you pop it to him real quick. He's in the end zone, touchdown. If he's covered, you hold the ball, buy time, and throw a high arcing pass to Dwight Clark, who runs all the way to the middle of the field, right between the goalposts, turns around and comes back. And stays 3 yards from the end line, so that if he has to jump, he still comes down in bounds. All these little coaching points.
Jeez.
All of that happened. And he makes a great catch. And the Dallas Cowboys, to this day, swear Joe Montana was throwing the ball away. Well, he wasn't. We'd used that play once or twice earlier.
So you're saying the whole thing was planned?
Absolutely. We worked on it. Yeah. Well, we worked out. We didn't have we couldn't work out in San Francisco the week before the game because of rain. There was raining. We went down to the Los Angeles Rams facility, and on Thursday, I always threw Dwight a bunch of passes just as our little routine. We picked that play, and I threw him those arcing passes. I said, "No, you're too far. You would have stepped out of bounds. Come back, do it again." We must have run it 7 or 8 times, and then I throw him bad passes, which I'm really good at. And that was our finish of the workout. Friday is usually more of a walkthrough and review day.
Now, did you put together that play, or was that Bill Walsh's?
It was, that's a good question. I don't know. I think I give Bill Walsh all the credit on all of those kind of things, but we all were in on it, yeah.
But what were you doing during that play? What was your role on the...
Well, I was up in the booth. George Seifert was in the booth with me, the defensive coordinator at that time.
You weren't the offensive coordinator, you were the passing game coordinator.
I was the passing director. There's no coordinator about it. There was no title there. But I was called director of the passing game, and on the previous play, we had, I was answering Bill's question, what do you like? And I was normally give him a run and a pass. I said, well, let's run the ball to the left, get on the left hash mark so we give ourselves plenty of room to sprint to the right on third down. Right. And we had to score a touchdown. A field goal wouldn't win it for us. Late in the game, like 50 seconds left. And we ran to the left, picked up a yard or two, got down there, and then we sprinted out to the right with sprint right option. That was the name of the play. And Freddie was jammed and wasn't open. Joe held it. Too Tall Jones is coming in there with his arms up. Joe threw it just over the ball just cleared his fingertips and landed just where it's supposed to, either out of bounds or in Dwight's hands. So
we'll say that you recommended that pass play.
You're going to get me an all.
Well, and somebody was holding on to you because you were about out the...
I was. Well, that's true. I almost went out of the booth, literally, not because my feet slipped, and I grabbed the monitor because the monitor could have really hurt somebody falling out over. Grabbed the monitor, and George Seifert grabs me by my belt buckle and pulls me back. Otherwise, that could have been a.
Do you go to sleep after something like that?
No, you don't sleep for several days. You know that.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, but I was in Lamar, South Carolina at the time when that happened, and like I said before, I was a big Dallas Cowboys fan, and you broke my.
How old were you? You keep talking about how young you were. Were you in diapers still?
No, I wasn't in diapers. I knew the game, so I had to be like maybe 9 or 10. Maybe.
Okay, well, you knew what was going on there.
Yeah, I knew exactly what was going on. I'm like, get him. Oh, they got him. He's going to throw the ball out. Touchdown. Ruined my whole Sunday, but that was an amazing play, though. And were you guys that detailed? Because I think it's amazing because they talk about situations, but you guys were a little before your time, wasn't it? When you talk about situations, or was the NFL everybody like that at the time?
I don't know the answer to what everybody was, but I know that Bill and Paul Brown were that way when I was a player. Mm-hmm. That was back in 1968. I was one of the original Bengals in 1968. Right. We've had our 50th anniversary, by the way. Right. You talk about looking at some old men. They're very much detailed. And then in San Francisco, Bill was detailed. And so, when I went to Cincinnati, I tried to do the same thing. But Yeah, Bill was pretty detailed about things, and he'd get very upset. If you ever had a coach say, for example, send in that running back, right, whatever you do, don't fumble that ball. Bill would go berserk. Don't fumble the ball. What do you think? Tell him to hug the ball, protect the ball. Don't introduce a negative thought to a guy right before he goes into a game. Yeah. So he wasn't just talking about details of technique. He was talking about atmosphere and your last conscious thought before you went into the game.
Right, so he was psychologically way ahead of a lot of the.
I think so, but I wasn't around a lot of the guys, and there were a lot of other good coaches there too around the league, and we had some great rivalries with Tom Landry and Don Shula and all the coaches that were coaching at that time. Some great names.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about the snowball game? That's one of my favorite moments, and I think it really showed your grace in class at the time. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that's a little bit of an exaggeration question there. But yeah, we're playing Seattle in Cincinnati. It's snowing. They're throwing snowballs. The officials were having a rough day that day. And the week before, they'd had a snowball incident in Denver, and Jim Tunney was the official out there, and he had actually replayed the kick because the snowball hit right at the holding point, and the kicker missed the kick. And so they redid it. So the memo went out, don't let this get started. Snowball started again with the Seattle game in Cincinnati, our fans throwing the snowballs, and I went over to Jerry Seaman was the official that day, and I said, Jerry, if you want me to go stop this, I can. Our microphone's on the sideline over there. And he said, well, you got the same memo I did, buddy. If you can do it, go. So I'm going across. I have no idea what I'm going to say. No choreographing.
I was going to ask you, do you know what you're going to say?
I live most of my life that way. So, but I'm going across there, and then I get the microphone in my hand. I've got to get started saying something.
Right.
And I say, if you see anybody throw anything on the field, point them out. We'll get them out of here. Right. You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati. Well, nobody heard you live in Cincinnati. And I said, you don't live in Cleveland. The place went
crazy. Yes.
But there's a postscript to that. Two postscripts, really quick ones. I said to myself, when I put the period at the end of it, I said, I'm either gone, I'm going to get fired for this, or I'm going to be in Paul Brown's graces forever. And I looked up the owner's box, and PB had his head back, and he was knee slapping, laughing.
Wow. Can you imagine that in the social media days now? If you said something like that?
Yeah, it would have been a different world for me after that. But they still sell T-shirts up there. When they play Cleveland in Cincinnati, it's all orange shirts with "You don't live in Cleveland."
I still see it on social media. People mentioning that quote.
I get it everywhere. If I'm speaking anywhere, I'm introduced with that.
It's one of the most well-known sports quotes in football history, right?
Actually, it was number 3.
Well, who beat you?
Right.
Well, Jerry Glanville is number 1 with the NFL, not for long.
Yeah.
Right.
That one, and then there was another one in there in between me and then that one. So I don't know that any has been repeated as often as that one has, though. I hear it all the time.
That was great. I can't believe that you're not number 1.
I know it.
Well, I'm number 1 to you in your heart.
That's right. That's right.
That's all your heart. That's all that counts for me.
Because this has been a tremendous, tremendous interview. This is probably the best interview we had. And I'm not really blowing smoke up. The first couple of questions, I was kind of patting you up a little bit, massaging you. But this time, I'm really being sincere that this was amazing.
Yeah.
This was amazing. You got to come back. You got to come back.
Yeah, I need to come back.
Yeah.
I'll promise to come back one way or another.
That's right. That's right.
You are amazing. Thank you so much.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you. All right. You're listening to Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.
All right, welcome back to the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland. An awesome show, an awesome interview. And before we talk about that, I wanted to thank Parham Smith and Arch and Hall, a sponsor of the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame. We really appreciate them. Blake Smith with that organization is a very excellent lawyer. Yes. Happens to be a friend of ours too.
Yes, Blake's my guy.
And of course, if you have any issues with medical malpractice for you or your loved ones, I strongly recommend them. ParhamLaw.com, or hey, let me know, we can get you in touch with them. But thank you again to Parham Smith and Arch and Hall for sponsoring us, and for all of our sponsors. We really really appreciate it. And without you, we couldn't do this. So thank you. And Sam Wyche, what an amazing man. What an incredible interview. I mean, what do you think?
I was always in awe with Sam.
Yep.
Being, in his coaching days in the NFL with the 49ers and with the Bengals. And, we had a little coaching duel back in the day that we talked about. Yeah. When I was coaching high school, he was also coaching high school. But to get the inside look of the play, especially the play, I think a lot of people thought that play was kind of impromptu. But when he described it and he told us what went into it, amazing story that we got. And just all the things he's done for the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame and the things he do out there in the world. Amazing man. I really appreciate it. It was just incredible to have that time with him.
Yeah, he really is an innovator. I mean, what do you think, Mike?
Well, he always has a special spot in my heart because he came in and helped us in the very beginning. He helped us with the All-Star game that we put together a few years ago and worked really hand in hand with me on some things. He allowed me to talk to him about football, which probably should never happen. But to know what he has accomplished in football and as a person, to be humble enough to accept others, accept other people's opinions and everything like that, but then also come in and tell the stories that he told today.
Amazing stories.
And in the ways that he wants to give back to others. He's always about other people, not about himself. And that's just remarkable. I think that's a great lesson that all of us can take because this is one of the most successful people on the planet.
Yep.
And all he's doing is pointing to everybody else.
You're right. I mean, I love Coach Sam Wyche, and we've had the honor and pleasure and privilege of working beside him. I mean, he certainly has taught me a tremendous about football. He took every one of the positions on the football field and helped break it down the first time I really met him.
Wow.
And talked about from an agent's perspective, this is what you're looking for. This is what's different teams and personnel setups are looking for, and really helped me tremendously. And of course, has helped Mike and all of us in terms of scouting players and what to look for in scouting players. He was, when we had the snowstorm in the second College All-Star Bowl, we went over to the stadium to see what was going on and whether we were going to be able to get it cleared up. And he's over there
shoveling
with his roommate, shoveling snow. I hear some shoveling and stuff. I mean, Sam Wyche is in there shoveling out.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is very humble, as Mike says.
That's old school right there.
He's fantastic. I mean, the guy has done it all, and I can't thank you enough, Coach. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no question.
We don't have a South Carolina Football Hall of Fame really without the help of Sam Wyche.
No, we've got so many great people we have to thank, but certainly Sam amongst the just most tireless helping and supporting, and has given his life tirelessly to so many people. He's a legend in his own right. Of course, I love his email, the no HUD, the no huddle, cheating. Sam Wyche is a cheater. That was
right. He really gave us a lot of insight on him, and I mean, if you talk to him at any point in time, you can see his character just really glows out. I mean, he's a man that's outstanding, and the wisdom that he has is amazing.
There's a certain camaraderie between you and him.
It really was. Yeah, we got along pretty well. And, of course, I have that kind of personality that I can just get along with everybody. But, we had a great rapport. I really appreciate him giving us the time and effort and his energy that day.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. You need to have him back for sure. And
no
Mike,
question.
Another great weekend of college football.
Busy weekend.
I mean, tell us about, we've got the Blanchard Rogers Trophy on here, so remind the audience, what is that, and who is your highlight for this weekend's performance?
Blanchard Rogers Trophy presented by Hales Jewelers. We've given this out to the College Player of the Year in South Carolina the last 6 years now, and so we're appreciative of Hales and being a part of that.
Absolutely.
Part of that trophy presentation, and but we know, as you know, we scout a lot of different people, but there's one that I want to point out real quick. is Rogan Wells, and he's from Fort Mill, South Carolina, plays at D2 Valdosta State.
Yep.
They went undefeated last year, won a national championship. He was runner-up to their Heisman Trophy win.
Oh, wow.
Heisman Trophy, the D2 version. And he was a finalist for our trophy last year. Shout out to Travis Etienne for getting that one last year. But Rogan this week did the trifecta. He threw 2 passes for touchdowns, ran for a touchdown, and caught a touchdown.
Wow.
And taking Valdosta State to a 4-0 record. Now they have won 18 straight games with him as a starter, and this kid is a redshirt sophomore. So he's got a lot of play left. Nice future. He's actually like a 6'3", 6'4" quarterback, even though he plays for D2. So who knows what his future looks like, but he's really representing South Carolina at Valdosta State right now. So he stood out. What did you see in the NFL circles this week?
I want to give a shout out to my boy Mason Rudolph, man. I thought he did really well for his first start, especially on the road, going across country to San Francisco. It's not always easy to do that, and he did a great job, even though my Steelers did kind of fall. They're 0-3, and I'm kind of sad about that.
Yeah.
But the guy that I really want to talk about is my man, Deshaun. He's amazing.
Watson.
He's amazing in what he can do. I mean, at the quarterback position, you saw that at Clemson, and he's just really bringing that over into the NFL. When you talk about intangibles, you talk about that guy. Everybody's saying that, he doesn't have a big arm or anything like that, but the guy knows how to win. And when you need a game-winning drive, he can do it.
And he can throw that ball.
He can throw the ball well enough. People are being, sometimes people are a little critical.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're not perfect, you're not good enough, but he definitely has the arm to put the ball where it needs to go. And I tell you what, if they can protect him and keep him upright, that guy is going to have a great season.
And you mentioned 2 Blanchard Rogers Trophy recipients right there.
That's it, man.
We
always plug it.
That's right. So
that's great, Rudolph.
Yep.
For those of you that don't know,
for 2017 and Deshaun Watson in 15 and 16.
Wow.
And of course, Mason just took over Ben Roethlisberger's position as the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
For my Steelers, yes, that's right. Yeah, man.
And quick note on Deshaun: not only is he doing it on the field, but he does it off the field as well.
No question, yeah.
There was a thing last night that he posted. A kid helped someone else, and then he invited that kid to the game and give him tickets.
Man.
So and of course when they had the hurricane his rookie year, he gave his first paycheck to people who worked at the Houston Texans, like in the kitchen or something, to help them pay for their repairs and stuff.
Right.
He gave his first paycheck.
Making a difference through football.
He's making a difference
through football.
I love that guy.
Yep.
And he definitely represents the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame.
No question. So there's the flag. Coach Jeffries, we appreciate you giving us this flag, and Evan Tripp keeping us on track. We appreciate our producer, Evan Tripp, for having us. Thanks again for tuning in. We appreciate Levon Kirkland.
No problem.
Always an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. And if you want to listen to the podcast, please, you can listen on Apple, Spotify, Podbean. You can get the video production on Facebook and also on YouTube. So please tune in. Thank you so much for your support, making a difference through football. We're the Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.
You're listening to Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland.